Does anybody have anything nice to say about the machine? Yeah, all right.
Now listen, where I come from, we have a saying that is, you dance with the fella that brought you. You know what I mean? And, I've enjoyed a privilege this week, and that is to be out in the house and to watch you do your thing and to watch the machine. And I love it. And I'm not ashamed to say I am. In Siegfried, what they did in that Act 2 with that forest scene, when I got to see what was happening, I was so moved and I was so impressed and staggered by the beauty of it. And I was curious to see, are you going to be able to create a completely different palette to work with? I felt like we had, with the fire, we had used up all of the options in Siegfried. But, they put together a lot of visuals that I think are stunning and I think really do help tell the story. Is it perfect? No. Do we hear it squeaking, making noise? Yeah, but you know what? This is live theater. I'm a boy and she's a girl and we're human beings and we go out there every night and we do our very best for you. And it's not a recording. We don't get to go back and try again and fix, if we have two phrases that we didn't sing perfectly, we don't get to try and fix it. And it's sort of the same thing with this production. Somebody had an idea and we said, let's do our best to make this work, to tell a story. And it's not perfect, and sometimes it gets stuck, and we have to go out and improvise. But I just want to say, for all, from us to you, that we go out there, every one of us, we go out there and we do our best to sing our best for you, to be the best colleagues that we can, to act. We're trying to act too, and we're singing our best and we're moving our best and we are using this set to the absolute best of our ability. And I'm going to tell you something. When there was a moment in Siegfried where I got to walk out up pretty high in Act 3, out towards the end of that plank, and I'll never forget it. It was such an amazing, breathtaking moment that I, as Jay, had to be fearless, and I had to walk out there and just trust that it wasn't going to fall and that I wasn't going to fall. And I'm so glad I did, because it was thrilling. So we're doing our best. I'll take this one. I got this. I was in the premiere production of Streetcar Named Desire.
Right. That's right.
Dead Man Walking in San Francisco. One you may not have seen called The Fly. I played a country boy in that one, believe it or not.
Really? That must have been a stretch.
It was a stretch. I've got to be, and Grendel was actually, I loved Grendel. But I want to tell you, folks, this Moby Dick, it's actually the same production, 6 different companies, and they opened it in Dallas, and then I got to do it in Australia. And it is magnificent. I loved walking around on a peg leg all night. Wait, no, I didn't love that.
Well,
I loved
it's also
the
a
music.
good example, if I may, of, again, the use of a unit set, but that's changed mainly by lighting rather than by
lighting and 3D projections, and but the score, and obviously the story is fantastic and unbelievable. And I have, I've been trying to do this for 23 years, and I have I haven't had an experience like playing Captain Ahab. I really, really loved it.
It's an unbelievably beautiful score, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, you did Dr. Atomic too, didn't you?
And Dr. Atomic.
Right.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, now, between Jake Hagee and John Adams, is it okay to say that we have some wonderful composers of opera during our generation now?
Absolutely. And Elliot Goldenthal, absolutely. I think I really, and Mark Adama. I don't pretend to be terribly smart on these things, but I've got a feeling that 100 years from now, people are going to be watching Moby Dick. It is such a great piece of theater.
I agree with you.
And so I feel very strongly about that.
Yeah, and in fact, last year or 18 months or so ago, Placido Domingo was a guest of ours, and I think we asked him at one point, what's hopping now? Who's writing well? And he said, Dr. Atomic.
Yeah.
Dr. Atomic.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Is the score. I think that's probably right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose you can say that any opera company has an obligation to commission new scores or to mount new scores, and the Metropolitan certainly is doing that along with others. Does one of you have a view, I'm talking philosophy, I guess, of opera production? What responsibility does an opera house have when it revives a score that they know is going to be in the repertory for the next 10, 15, 20 years? Is there an obligation to make sure that that is in some way not a new idea? Or is it a responsibility to make sure that it is a new idea? What's the job of an opera company when it engages people to do something like a Ring?
May I just a little?
Anybody but him. Any thoughts?
Anybody else? I feel so blessed to be a part of these live broadcasts. Because after getting to do the Siegfried, I heard from people all over the world. And I heard from people that took their kids, and they had a 9-year-old daughter that had never been to an opera that sat through all of Siegfried and loved it, or sat through all of Valkyrie. And we do have a responsibility to our next generation of fans and patrons and our audience. And so I applaud every effort, and I would love to be a part of every effort that we can generate to bring in people to this art form. I mean, I love this art form, and almost everybody that I introduce it to, they fall in love with it too, no matter where they're from. If they're from Paris, Texas, my family goes and they go to the theater and they see. And they're introduced to this music and to this set and to this, the whole thing that we're trying to do. And people that would never have an encounter with it are suddenly fans, and they want to come and they want to take part and they want to see more. Shouldn't we spend a lot of our time and energy doing that? Finding new audiences. And, I don't know the answer. I don't know how we do that.
Jay, I spent some time on your website a couple nights ago. Anybody wants to have a great trip, you should go to jayhuntermorris.com. And a lot of that's very moving stuff. I mean, I assume that must have been written before any of this. Most of it was written before any of this happened. You're like, this time last year, you were, thinking about maybe covering...
Yes, sir.
In
Yes, sir.
Now, boy, it bothers me when you say that. It really does. Now, I was frankly moved by a saying on that website that you attributed to a friend that said, "Life shows up."
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us what that means?
I'd be happy to. If you can imagine this, and I haven't shared this very much, very often, but if you can imagine this time last year, I had undergone a major operation that went very badly, and I could hardly walk down the street. On January 1st of last year, I am amazed to tell you that I could not walk down the street. And I had a few jobs. I had a job being the understudy for Siegfried in San Francisco, and I had a job being the understudy here at the Met. And the hand of fate, God, whatever you'd like to call it, has smiled on me so mightily and has given me the incredible opportunities that I've had this year. And so I'm proud. The reason I tell you that is because I want you to understand the sweetness that it is, the sweetness that I am enjoying to get to sing with these people and to get to stand on that stage and to get to sing with that orchestra and to sing with this band. I did not see that in my future. And neither did my wife, Meg, or my teacher, or my manager. This just was not a part of the forecast. And in 2011, life showed up and gave me opportunities that I felt prepared for. I mean, let's keep it real. You don't just show up overnight and sing Siegfried. I've been working on it for 4 years, and I feel like I'm going to be learning it for another 20 years. There's so much in there. But I'm so blessed and so fortunate to have a real deep inner passion for this that has given me the fuel to be ready when that call came and when these moments came, and I've gotten to go on this great ride, and I've gotten so much love from colleagues and from the audience, and thank you. It's so fun. It's so rewarding and fulfilling to get to sing this music and to get to be a part of something like this, especially when you don't expect to ever get to do it.
Well, I hope that the five of you understand that quite apart from loving your performances and loving Wagner, there is something about what you do that's unknown to us, and that's mystical and that's magical to us. And for you to share that with us means, I think, more than you could know, because you're not sitting where we are. Thank you very much.